Hey guys, welcome back to Dem Guys podcast. As always, we're just talking about whatever we feel like talking about.
You didn't even have a special intro this time.
We hope that you're not Triskaidekaphobic.
Oh, nice. Here you go. What's that mean?
It's fear of the number 13, because this is the 13th podcast episode.
Ooh. Triskaidekaphobic.
Have you not seen Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium?
I have not, but I'm assuming that's slightly related to Triscuits.
No.
What would the fear of Triscuits be called? Triskaidekaphobia.
Triskaidekaphobia, I guess, yeah.
I wonder if that's Googleable. Anyway, continue. I'll Google it and tell you guys.
If you know what the official name for fear of Triscuits is, let us know at our podcast email address. demguyspodcast@gmail.com.
demguyspodcast@gmail.com.
Nicely done.
Good job. And, if you would like, you could also let us know on our new Twitter account.
At Dem Guys Podcast. Spelled?
Am I supposed to do this too? Oh, wow. You just double my workload, guys. I'm not sure about this. It's at demguyspodcast. I was really nervous for that.
And we also want to announce that this is the first episode that is going live both on my channel, but also on our new dedicated channel on YouTube, which is where you're going to find all episodes from this point on. We're just dual releasing this one so that you can make the transition. And that's at youtube.com/
Oh, God.
No, that was not the correct web address.
No, don't go to youtube.com/oh god. That's somebody else's channel.
Hopefully. So where do I start spelling?
Same place you always do.
Okay, so continue.
Anyway, it's Dem Guys Podcast on YouTube as well. We won't put poor Snow through this anymore.
Thank you. God. By the way, guys, I looked it up. First of all, it was hilarious that I looked it up because I still had my caps lock on from typing in the doc. And so whenever I looked up fear of Triscuits, it just like much more hilarious being all caps.
Fear of Triscuits!
It's like, man, I really just found out I have a fear of Triscuits.
I must know, what is it called?
So actually, the fourth article down, if you Google fear of Triscuits, is Triskaidekaphobia, the fear of ... Triscuits?
No.
And
Incorrect.
Then 8 articles down says Triskaidekaphobia, not a fear of Triscuits.
There you
There
go.
we go. So you're not the only one who has made that association.
Apparently not.
All right, well, are we going to roll for who's talking about their games first, as per usual?
It's fine by me.
All right, I want 1 and 5.
What?
I want 1 and 5.
Ooh.
Mixing it up.
I want 0, 4, and 2.
Wait, so which ones do you want?
I'm 1 and 5. Snow is 4 and 2.
And 0.
And 0.
Alright.
In case you drop your phone in the process.
Alright, I had to subtract a few d6s, because last time I was doing it, we were doing 10 d6, so...
Can we not get a real dice by now? Are we really that low budget, guys?
I have one, but I don't have a real table to roll it on. If one of you wants to roll one, go ahead.
I would love to.
I do not have them nearby.
But all I have are tables and no dice.
What are you supposed to do with all of those tables?
If you could throw them really far, then they would land here.
Hold on, I'm just going to step outside and chuck it really hard to the west.
And we'd really be a team.
Just get Amazon to deliver it with one of their drones.
They're drones. That's
Yeah,
the
there
best
you
idea
go.
ever. It's remote
Pinpoint
D&D.
precision, they just drop it from the drone and it lands on the table.
Alright,
Revolutionary.
you guys are keeping track of the numbers. I don't remember who's who, so I'm just going to roll, and you guys know who's going. 1.
Guaranteed it's a 3. Oh, dang it.
1. That was me.
It was you.
1 and 5. All right. Well, we'll start off then by glaring at you via the Skype call.
Ha! Via the Amazon drone.
My reaction video went up yesterday for you fine listeners, but these gentlemen have not seen it yet because it's tomorrow for them. But yes, you guys are evil.
No. We are not
You
evil.
you are one of the worst kinds of Minecraft evil for leaving floating trees all over my area of the, not just like at my base, but like a gigantic floating forest of canopies.
Dude, it looked like we transformed the biome when we were done. It was crazy.
It was pretty ridiculous, yeah. Look, guys, the forest biome is across the river.
Not anymore. It has encroached onto your land.
Yeah. That was. I think you guys will enjoy the reaction whenever you see it, because it was definitely like, as soon as I picked up on the fact that it was a whole bunch of floating trees, I may have lost some points of sanity over the course of.
That was what we were trying to do. It was a mental attack more than anything.
Although I will say that it was somewhat compensated for by the awesome mustache.
Oh, thank you.
That you put on the moon. That is staying. That is staying for as long as the moon stays.
The only problem is it kind of like goes into your roof, and I was like, well, I don't really want to. I almost took out your roof, and then I was like, no, I can't do that.
I mentioned, but we didn't have like a silk touch pick or anything, and we also didn't want to make you do too much work. But I had mentioned possibly removing the chandelier at the top of your tower and putting a floating tree up there.
Oh.
Speaking of which, I'm very interested to see how many of these things you actually found.
Well, I'm pretty sure I found all of them.
Okay.
Drew came on the server towards the end of my video.
Oh, did he?
And
I gave him a couple of hints.
Yeah. It would have taken me quite a while, because I couldn't tell you the last time I actually went over to the Biomes project. I got a little burnt out on that. I've been letting that, sit by the wayside for the time being. So I don't know the next time I would have even gone over there, let alone bothered to like.
It would have been perfect. Like the day before the server reset, you go over to look at your unfinished Biomes project. You're like, oh man, I really wish I would have.
There's a floating tree.
What's great is we went over there, and I didn't actually tell you it was over there. I just said it was someplace visible from the overviewer.
Right, and I pieced it together.
We went over there, and it's right in front of the portal, but I guess your world didn't load in, so you go looking all over the place, and it took you forever to find it.
Yeah, that particular, block of error or whatever did not actually render right off the bat. So
nice.
Yeah, I was a little confused. But that would have been pretty hilarious, and it was it reminded me of Caleb. You remember I had some time ago done a prank where I put clay pots all over the place?
Yep.
At his base.
That was also crazy.
I didn't include it in my setup video, but I hid a few clay pots on top of some of the trees that he was growing just as a tree farm, knowing that he would eventually cut them down. And he pinged me on Skype like Saturday, maybe sometime over the weekend, saying, "Did you put clay pots in my trees?" So it took him like months to finally find those. And I was very pleased with that.
You had, I mean, the complexity of your prank was much more impressive. Ours was literally just, "Hey, we got some saplings and some bone meal. What can we do with that?" I know. Let's grow trees and cut down only part of them. Easiest prank ever.
The scale was impressive, and it was pretty funny, too, because some of the trees, some of the saplings that you had planted that I guess hadn't grown by the time you were done, grew at some point afterwards. So I'm like, here's some trees that just aren't cut down. I don't know what they were doing here.
We figured that would happen. Because it was like, we didn't bone meal all of them, we just kind of went around and planted a bunch of them, and then we went and tried to bone meal them one by one. Well, then the trees covered up the trees that didn't grow, and so it was like, well, this is impossible now, so I hope you enjoy it.
The great trees were definitely the ones that were actually like the big ones that have multiple logs up top.
Yeah. The mother of all floating trees.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about, is that there was one tree like pretty much dead center, like to the left of the path if you're heading up towards the house, that was gigantic. Now, did you like plant a tree on top of that tree or something, or did it just grow?
No,
huge?
it was. I placed a dirt block on top. Your signpost that tells you like ice farm this way, whatever. I placed a dirt block on top of there and grew a tree on top of that.
Okay, and it just sort of merged with trees around it.
Yeah, then it's still like that wasn't that high off the ground, but it still looked gigantic.
Yeah, it was. I was like, "There's no way this was just one tree generating here. This has to be."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I approve. You guys win the award for the most annoying prank that has been done on me thus far. So congratulations.
Hey, you got a lot of resources though, hopefully, or you will.
Too. I have quite a few actually. Yep. They may come back around to you guys at some point in another form. We'll see.
Now, did you know that we did most of that while you were on the server?
Yeah, Drew was telling me while I was over playing Chutes and Ladders.
Yep. You got on the server literally probably, I don't know, 7 minutes into the prank or something like that.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about how we're going to do it.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I wasn't even originally going to be back on the server, but I ended up having some spare time because I'd played a little bit earlier in the day. Yeah.
We were like, oh yeah, he's done for the night. He said he's gone. He's got stuff to do. And then all of a sudden, Matt aka / joined the game.
I am happy to have caused a small amount of panic.
It was. We were just frantically running around planting trees as fast as we could and bone mealing them as fast as we could. It was pretty good.
Oh, man. But yeah, that was pretty good. And I enjoyed that. And the only other thing I've done on the VBFS since then was Fumandunian gave me a tour of his builds on the server. So I've got 2 pending. Well, one's, wibbly wobbly timey wimey. The prank reaction was out, quote unquote, yesterday. And then the video with Foo's going to be out like Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. Was that so? I like to call Foo's base Lag City because that is the laggiest spot on the server, and I don't know why. It is
pretty ridiculous, and it's a very confined area.
Yeah.
We talk about it, and that may be something that I will go and spend some time off camera just trying to track down, because it doesn't seem like it's anything that he's built. It just seems like there's something about that.
I don't know if there's a bunch of item frames there or what it is, but it's crazy. I didn't check the entities.
I wouldn't. No, the entity count isn't anything unusual. I mean, there isn't too much that jumped out at me on an F3. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it was.
I honestly think. I mean, given we have the Bermuda Triangle chunk next to Drew's base, around the river.
Yeah, the Bermuda Cube.
Yeah, the Bermuda Cube. And we have that one chunk that just never renders in the forest not far from there. There's just some chunks, I think, that are just flat out broken on our map. And there might be, Foo might be living in one of them.
Yeah.
Soon enough, his whole base is just going to be swallowed.
Yeah, it's just going to disappear into a vortex or something. Oh, man. Let's see, what else I've been doing? Real quick, I played some KSP, did some asteroid redirect stuff. And I'm prepping for a big journey to Lathe. The original destination is going to be Eve, because I was going to take a space plane, and I thought, hey, a space plane ought to be really easy to take off from Eve, because the atmosphere is so thick. Eve's atmosphere has no oxygen, so a space plane does not work very well there. You might as well just launch an actual rocket.
Oh.
Wait, hang on. Why does it not lift because of the oxygen?
It's not that it doesn't lift, it's that the space planes... If you use the Rapier engine, which is the one that can switch modes, it burns through the fuel much more efficiently whenever it can use oxygen through like RAM intakes. But if it can't take oxygen through the intakes because there's none in the atmosphere, then it's just going to operate as a normal rocket engine, and it's not very efficient at sea level as a rocket engine. That's the whole point of being able to fly it up to a high altitude as a plane and then
I was hoping you weren't going to lift off at all and you were just going to have like a high-speed car, basically. You're just like, oh god.
That's what would happen if I tried to land somewhere without an atmosphere, and that would be kind of amusing.
That would be amusing.
No, apparently the engines turn on and they consume fuel and make a lot of noise, but they don't provide any thrust at all.
Nice.
So I had to revise my destination at that point. I have been working on episode 9 of Starbound for probably close to a month now, I think. I'd have to look at the timestamps, but I just never spend a whole lot of time in that episode or in that game. And I recorded a second clip over the weekend and thought, okay, this is surely an episode. When I combined the two and edited them down, it's like 11 minutes long.
Wow.
I'm like, all right, I need more content for this episode. So
that's the worst.
Who knows when the next Starbound's going to come out, because it'll probably be weeks till I record any more of that again. That's it for me.
Roll them dice, Drew.
All right.
Or the virtual dice.
Yeah. 1 again.
Son of a... Okay.
Oh, then I get to decide. And I decide it's Snowshoe's turn.
Yeah! Woo, it's my turn.
I have the power.
So I talk about what games I play, right? Is that how this podcast works?
Yes.
Yep.
And seeing as we wrote down your games for you.
Yeah, I didn't even type them out. I guess I typed out part of one, but not all of it. Anyway, so I've been playing Watch Dogs since the last podcast. It came out, I think, like the day of the last podcast or something like that. So I've gotten 3 or 4. I think it's 3. I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes up. I've recorded another one, but I think it's going to be the same thing like yours where I don't have enough content. And Drew, I guess we can talk about this. What do you think about Watch Dogs? Because you've also played it.
Yes. I don't know. It's not a terrible game.
No, it's not a terrible game, and there's definitely a whole lot of fun parts. But to me, there's some of the fun parts are completely outweighed by some of the what the heck is going on parts. Like, I played a game of chess the other day. Have you played chess in it?
No, I generally avoid those types of minigames because, like, I played them in Assassin's Creed 3, or I tried, and I get really confused and I can't figure out how to win.
Well, the chess one is one of the things about it is that it's one of the easiest minigames I've ever played on any game at all. So it's like they stick out maybe 4 pawns on the board for the first level, and you have a queen. And it says, how many moves can you kill all the pawns? And it tells you what the lowest amount of moves is. Well, the lowest amount of moves is 4. So clearly, you have to take out a pawn in every move. And that's how all 10 levels of it is. There's no further strategy than that, except you have to take out a pawn every move and just make it to where you can take out all up to 10 pawns in 10 moves. So it's like...
So they've successfully reduced chess to checkers.
It is checkers. And it's the easiest thing. Well, not checkers fully. Because you can...
But I mean, like, in terms of amount of strategy required.
Right, yeah. You can move the queen unlimited spaces, but yeah, in terms of strategy, it's terrible. But the worst thing is not even that, because that could at least make me feel good, and I'm like, man, I'm so smart, when really it's just a really easy puzzle. No. The worst thing is that the background noise, there's like 4 audio clips of people talking, and these puzzles take you, I don't know, maybe upwards of 2 or 3 minutes to complete per one. So you listen to these 4 audio clips like 6 or 7 times throughout each puzzle, and it got to the point where after the 3rd puzzle, I just took my headphones off. I was like, I'm not listening to this crap anymore. It's the worst.
Is it just like people complaining about their problems and stuff?
Yes, that's it. She's like, man, I gotta sell my car, blah, blah, blah. And this guy's talking about this girl's butt, and it's like, it's the worst things ever. It's like trying to sit in a Chicago restaurant or something and hearing the same people complain about the same things over and over and over. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is, but it's also funny.
And the graphics for the minigame are terrible. I'm just saying, that minigame should have never been included in the game. I don't know who let that thing through, but it's like, even when the guy reaches his hand across the table, it's the most pixelated, like, edgy thing you've ever seen in a video game. I don't know, whatever. Wow. Chess, don't play it.
Now, how do you feel about the driving?
I love the driving. I hate... Oh, I have a love-hate relationship with the driving. If anybody has watched my first episode, that is my rock bottom point as a video gamer. Going back and watching it, it's like, I don't know how in the world I drove so poorly in that thing. It was like I backed up into a wall, and then there was clearly a street to my right that I should have turned on, going like 1 mile an hour or something, but instead I decided to go straight into another wall. It's like I was completely brain dead or something. The worst video gaming I've ever done, but it's okay. I got better.
Fair, the driving in Watch Dogs was very different from any other video game driving I've ever had.
Yeah, it's very sensitive and very floaty on the turns and everything, but in general you can get used to it. The different cars are very different though. It's kind of hard to get a hold of when you get in a car, like how it's going to handle. So it's kind of like relearning how to drive every time you get you get in a different car, which is kind of cool because that's kind of how real life is too.
Yeah. No, I don't mind the driving too much. I think my biggest problem at the beginning was I had literally just stopped playing Saints Row the Third, and the driving in that, the controls are so similar, but the actual, like, the physics are so different, that I'm like, oh yeah, I can take this turn, or no, I can't.
Yeah, and on the Watchdog physics, I don't know about the turns. I mean, yeah, you can take the turns pretty darn easy, I guess. Is that right? Or can you not?
Well, in Saints Row, you can just power slide around every corner, but in Watch Dogs, you ram into everything.
Yeah, you can kind of learn it a little bit, but a lot of times when you start to power slide, you don't stop power sliding until you hit a wall.
Exactly.
But the other thing is that, like, besides motorcycles, any small car that you get, any kind of car that you are in, will completely thrash any car that you hit. So you have to have a pretty big willing suspension of disbelief on the car crashes, because you'll just send cars flying, and it's like, these cars are the same size. Why is one just completely winning the physics? That doesn't make any sense.
My favorite thing that I've seen related to that is on a motorcycle, okay, if you run into a solid object, like an object in the game that doesn't move, if you just run into it, you'll go flying off the motorcycle. Right. However, if you hit something that in real life, even if the motorcycle would put a dent in it, you would still, from the collision, go flying off. Not in Watch Dogs. I drove through, those like covered stop things. People
Yeah.
have to wait for the bus. I drove right through one of those with a motorcycle. The whole thing just went flying, and I was fine.
Like landed on top of a 10-story building or something.
Probably, yeah. But no, my favorite part was I got on a motorcycle, and I think I was answering, like, in real life, I was answering my cell phone, and so I just had one hand on my controller, and I barely tapped the right trigger to accelerate, and my motorcycle rolled forward a couple of inches, and there was, like, a light pole, like a lamppost or whatever, in my way, and I was moving, like, 1 mile an hour. And my motorcycle tapped the pole, and the whole thing just disconnected from the ground and went
The light
flying.
poles are the flimsiest things I've ever seen in that game, too. It's like, I can't remember what it was. I was just barely driving, and I think a guy didn't even hit the light pole. Like, it looked like he was a couple feet away from it. Then all of a sudden, the light pole comes crashing down on me, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to fire these city engineers.
I guess the one other main thing that I wanted to talk about is the multiplayer in Watch Dogs. Have you really done anything with that?
No, because I don't have PSN.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bummer because it's really built a lot on the single player and multiplayer integration thing.
It is a really interesting concept.
Right. And there's missions where it's like required almost, except they're like, hey, guess what? You can play multiplayer, and then you do it, and then they're like, oh, by the way, you don't have multiplayer. It's like, well, how do I do the mission? It's like, it's okay, we'll provide a computer multiplayer. I'm like, that's not even multiplayer.
They basically, when you sort of unlock some of the multiplayer stuff, it's like they provide a tutorial with an AI, and they're like, okay, well, now you can go do this against regular people.
Right.
And so that's what I did, and I found out, at least at first, I was really, really bad at it. But I do like the idea of, like, if you hack the wrong person, they'll actually, like, call this company, which I haven't gotten far enough into the game to really understand who they are, but Bloom is, like, some hacker or security or something.
I think Bloom is the owner of the CTOS.
Maybe.
I think. Only because I went to one of the websites that it told me to go to in the video game. It was, like, supposed to be part of the story, but I was like, is that a real website? I gotta check it out. And you go to it, and I think it takes you to a Bloom website, and you can look around it. It's kind of cool.
But anyway, so someone will call, and they'll be like, hey, I just got hacked or whatever, and it'll put out a bounty on you, and then other players can actually come into your game and try to hack you.
To get that bounty?
Right, and so then you have, like, you have a certain amount of time to find them and take them out before they steal your information and get away.
Now, what are those called? They're what are the missions called that are like Hitman missions? Contracts, is that right?
Oh, yeah, so there's fixer contracts, and a fixer is like a hacker kind of.
He's like a hacker / assassin / hitman / just do whatever you need to do type guy.
Yep, pretty much. I just wanted to mention one last thing. I found out there's actually a smartphone app, and it's a CTOS app. And supposedly, I haven't gotten a chance to use it yet, but supposedly you can use it while
on
your
traffic
friend
lights?
Okay. While your friend is playing the game, and you can actually influence the Watch Dogs video game through your phone, which is pretty cool.
That sounds pretty cool. I like that sort of augmented reality type stuff.
I saw them do that on IGN, and it was pretty cool. But, yeah, you know, I have this one traffic light outside my house that whenever I pull up to it every morning, I kind of think, this would be really awesome if I could just change this real quick, because there's nobody here, and I know there's going to be a cop watching me, and I don't want to get pulled over. I mean, I don't really want people to crash into each other. It's not my intent here. I just want to go. I would be like the vigilante that's only really out there for himself, just to be able to pass traffic lights. What a wasted talent. Oh, is this so my turn? I think it is. I played a little bit of KSP, not too much though. I left it on for like a weekend so I can get my Steam stats up. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You did a moon mission in real time.
Yeah, one of my friends tweeted me and they were like, "Dude, I think you've been playing KSP for 120 hours." Oh, I completely forgot about this because I had a doctor's appointment. And I was on drugs whenever this happened, so I forgot that it happened. I'm going to my notifications right now to tell you exactly what it was. But anyway, my friend said something like, hey, the SnoShoe, I swear to God, you have been on Kerbal Space Program for like 2 days constantly now. And I said something like, yeah, I think I left it on while I was gone for the weekend. Kerbal Space Program tweeted me. And they were like, nothing wrong with that. Just remember to take snack breaks, stand, hydrate, and contemplate the universe. I was like, what in the world? Why would Kerbal Space Program?
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
He didn't even tag them in the tweet or anything. He just wrote Kerbal Space Program out, and I guess they have a keyword search for it. But all right, Drew.
So I played Minecraft, which we already talked about, pranking Slash. But I also
Everybody likes to prank Slash.
I also went on the PlayMindcrack server this past weekend. They had they had a double gold weekend, which was pretty awesome. But the whole
It's twice as good as single
server,
gold weekend, in case anybody was wondering.
Yes, that's true. The whole server, like the hub and everything, has been reset, and there's a whole bunch of new games. It's really cool. But the new game that they were specifically featuring is Camelot. And from what I understand, they at least got some of the ideas from one of the guys who worked on Chivalry, and he might have actually helped them design the map or something, if I remember
that's pretty
correctly.
cool.
Yeah. And it does have a really Chivalry type feel to it, and I missed that game, so it was really fun playing kind of the Minecraft version of it with like different classes and stuff.
Right.
So basically it's a 3-team, just control the central point type thing. And there's 3 base classes, the tank, the damage dealer, and the support ranged class. And then there are all different variations of them, healers and stuff. So it's really cool, and I recommend it. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it was just, yeah, had a lot of fun. The other thing I forgot about was there have been a whole bunch of changes to Dwarves vs. Zombies, so we should get in there, all 3 of us, and play some Dwarves vs. Zombies together.
Is this like a podcast tradition where we talk about doing it and then never do it?
Never actually do it. That's sort of the impression that I've gotten.
Yeah,
I really want to, but we just never, like, we mentioned it every podcast, and I think we've talked about it outside the podcast and maybe once.
Yeah.
It's true, but
yeah, it's tough. It's tough for the 3 of us to, outside of actually the podcast itself. It's kind of tough for us to find time to game together. Maybe we should. Well, except I was gonna say maybe next Monday, but I don't think I'm around next Monday.
Gah. Yeah, that's true. We should have every Monday at 7:00 off, right? It's not like we schedule things bi-weekly.
Yeah, so maybe we'll look into that. Maybe, dear listener, you will actually get some DVZ Dem Guys content from us at some point in the near future.
that would be awesome.
You can annoy us on Twitter if that's what you want. Just keep tweeting at us.
And then I play D&D Dungeons and Dragons, for anyone who doesn't realize what that is. I play that pretty much weekly. Yeah, last weekend I played a classic D&D dungeon that had been updated for a newer version that we play in. And Slash, you might have heard of this one. It's called the Tomb of Horrors.
Oh, Tomb of Horrors.
Oh,
Yes,
that good old
Of course, SnoShoe.
Yeah, that's a good one. That
Well-
Tomb of Horrors, man.
Welcome to me during the Watch Dogs conversation. Now pipe down.
I don't know. I'm just saying that tomb was super horrifying.
Horrific.
It was a horrific tomb.
I think I'll permit Drew the pleasure of describing Tomb of Horrors for you and the benefit of anybody listening that does not know what truly diabolical really means.
Okay.
Hit it, Drew.
So the Tomb of Horrors was created by, I think it was the guy who made D&D.
Yeah, I think Gary Gygax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a dungeon that was designed for people who said D&D was too easy. And basically, well, I'll tell you this, our trap finder died in the very first room. Because
Did he hit a trap?
he opened a door, and without having a save, the ceiling fell on him. And that's just a small example of things you might encounter. But yeah, there was a lot of really bad stuff in there. And unfortunately, we did this sort of to increase the sense of stress and tiredness that you get from playing this, because you will go in circles and it does get really intense and confusing, and I don't even know how to describe it because it's really bad. But we played it overnight, and I fell asleep for a couple hours because I was just so exhausted. But
or you died for a couple hours from the battle.
Right?
It's possible.
Did other people play on while you were asleep? They were like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about him. He's just sleeping back there."
Well, I let the guy who his character died at the beginning, I let him play as my guy while I slept.
That doesn't sound very safe. I'm not gonna lie.
When I woke up, I found out that there had been a TPK, which is a total party kill.
Nice.
And they actually started over.
You shouldn't let that guy in your games anymore, man. He's not very perceptive.
I'll tell you what, the Tomb of Horrors, the stuff that is in there is just absolutely ridiculous. And I had to pull it up on Wikipedia to verify. It was Gary Gygax that wrote it.
Yeah.
And it says, he developed the adventure from an idea by Alan Lucian, one of his original AD&D playtesters. Quote, "And I admit to chuckling evilly as I did so."
Yep.
Which that's just a great quote. Well, yeah, I mean, there's things there where it's like, that look completely innocuous, like an open window or whatever, and then you jump through and you discover, oh, it's, an annihilation sphere which disintegrates you with no chance of ever being, like, resurrected or recovering your equipment or anything. Everything just to dust immediately.
See, can you choose when you're going to do perception checks?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So why wouldn't, I don't know. To me, that would kind of suck, because it would just be like, hey, I want to do a perception check every single time you do anything.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to perceive the things you need to perceive either.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know. It just kind of seems like a monotonous thing having to do that many perception checks because you're afraid of the wall turning into a, I don't know.
Well, that's how it started at the very beginning.
Something.
We were making almost no progress, but it moved faster later on. But what we discovered...
Once that guy died. Once your trap finder died.
A little later than that, we started moving faster. But what we discovered, we actually are going back to do a second part, because at the very end, like the sun was up and we all had to go home. A couple of us had to go to work actually. And what we discovered was we only got halfway through. We thought we had defeated like the boss, and it turns out that it was like a decoy, and there was some hidden door that we hadn't found, that it's actually like two dungeons, one on top of another. So
what did you guys do when you beat the boss? You're just like, yeah, cool, man. Let's get out of here.
We took the loot and left, and then our DM actually had added into our game a guy who like actually gave us the mission. Like normally you start at the entrance basically.
Right.
But so we went back to the guy and we're like, hey, we completed it. And there was some...
He's like, no, you didn't.
There was some wizard that could, like, sense that the enemy was still there, so...
Perfect.
So we got a bunch of loot, and so we like, went back to the town and bought upgrades, and so we're gonna have
That's kind of cool.
Try to go back in and finish the mission now. So, yeah, it was very fun, and it was a good example of some intense D&D play that we don't normally experience.
So intense that you fell asleep.
Yeah. I can say it's definitely not my preference. It's too stressful and tiring. I enjoyed our normal fun D&D sessions. Not saying that it wasn't fun, but it was not my kind of thing.
It wasn't bouncy and bright and happy.
I would say that that the Tomb of Horrors is to D&D what Super Hostile is to Minecraft. I think that that's probably a fair comparison for, anybody who hasn't gotten it yet. It's, I'm not a fan of playing like a Super Hostile style map, because that's just not my thing.
It's not your style. You were going to say style, but you just said style twice in the previous sentence.
Exactly. I had to edit on the fly. But yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. Let's roll them up for the next section. It's the news section. The section you guys have all been waiting for.
Sure.
Alright.
I'm sticking with my 2 and 4.
Okay, well I rolled a 2, so...
Ah, yes! So Minecraft stuff. Why did I write? Oh yeah, because guess what, guys?
What?
Donuts.
No, not what or donuts. Although there's a really good place called What a Donut. Minecraft is coming out with new blocks. I think possibly 2 new blocks. I think. I guess
I know of one for sure.
I guess technically the slime block is going to be a new block, but anyway. And it's coming out with at least 3 new mobs in the next version. Although one of them is the Endermite, which we all know about. The other 2 new mobs, one of them is the Mog Miner, one of the, I guess, engineers at Mojang, has decided to implement bunnies into Minecraft.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Do you guys not know about this?
No.
No, I had not heard about this.
Yeah,
I have
bunnies.
not been keeping up with the Minecraft news since they haven't actually been putting snapshots out.
Well, this truly is the news section then. Bunnies are coming to Minecraft, and I don't know what purpose they're going to serve, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because everybody's always complaining about you don't have enough passive mobs in Minecraft. There's not enough animal life and everything. And then he's like, hey, check out these bunnies. And they're like, well, what did the bunnies do? You said you wanted passive mobs.
They're bunnies.
They're bunnies.
They hop around and look cute.
They overload your server.
I'm picturing games like Fable and Skyrim and stuff, where there's actually a stat just to remind you how evil you are. The stat is number of bunnies slaughtered.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's what I'm picturing with this, where it's just like the only point is for you to be like, oh, let's go kill a bunny, and then remind you how evil you are. And yeah.
So there's bunnies, right? There's the Endermite, which is they've got to do more with the Endermite because right now it's just a pain in the butt. Like it has no characteristics or anything. It just drops when an Enderman flies around and then hits you a couple times. I don't know, whatever. I think he had plans. Dinnerbone had plans for it, but I don't know if they're going to happen in the next update. Especially because Jib, or is his name Yeb? Is that a thing?
Yeah, either way, it's probably fine.
Yeb, that sounds weird. Yeb has come up with some new water life. And we don't know what it is yet, but there's a maybe 8x8 pixel flare he did for the Minecraft Reddit that looks like a one-eyed Squidward.
Yep.
So
yeah, I did see that, and apparently it's basically like an underwater boss mob or something.
Yes, it's I think he said ranged mob that will require, or you would be wise to have diamond armor to fight, as well as respiration potions, aqua affinity helmet, I guess.
Yeah.
And whatever the underwater breathing, whatever that one's called.
Right, that potion, the potion of water breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, potion of water breathing. So we're thinking it's going to be some kind of Hydra, and by we I mean everybody on the internet who's paying attention to it. It's going to be some kind of Hydra or something, and there's all these theories flying around, but it's going to be very interesting.
I'm just hoping that it can only be found like in the deep, dark parts of the ocean, and not just
wouldn't
like
that be cool?
Not just like while you're boating along the top of a swamp.
See, I'm kind of hoping that you can't create it, but that's going to be very tough. Because, the Wither, they kind of had to make it to where you can create it because there's not naturally spawning giant mobs in Minecraft, especially the Wither, because that would just take crap out.
Yeah.
Right.
But the Hydra, or whatever it's going to be, I'm not 100% sure. Now, the Ender Dragon can be naturally spawning because there's only one of them, right? And it happens when you first walk into the end. So that's kind of what I'm interested to find. And figuring out if you don't spawn it, how are you going to find it?
Yeah.
Well, from what I have seen on the Minecraft wiki, apparently they're gonna have water dungeons.
Oh.
And so I suspect that probably because they have the deep ocean biome, I'm thinking maybe they'll figure out a way to spawn water dungeons in those types of biomes in 1.8, and maybe the way that I could see having a mob that spawned, a big boss mob that spawns naturally but isn't necessarily doesn't get out and wreak havoc.
Yeah.
Is if you essentially enclose it in a room that it can't get out of. It doesn't work with the Wither because the Wither blows stuff up, but this underwater mob wouldn't necessarily do that.
That's interesting. That's
the
that's
only
a good
problem that
theory.
I have with that is I don't know necessarily, unless I don't know what the distance is that you have to be from a boss mob for the health bar to come up. So it would be kind of a giveaway if if you're just boating over the ocean, all of a sudden this boss meter
The Kraken.
Up. Yeah.
Well, unless you had to do something to actually awaken it or something.
That's true. Yeah,
That would be
there might
pretty
be
cool.
something along those lines. And chances are that even Mojang doesn't really know what they're going to do with that yet. So
Jib is introducing, let's see, I think it's at least 2 new blocks, possibly 3. 2 new announced blocks. One of them is called Prismarine. And I think we talked about this in the last podcast because I was really hoping for the name Seashite to stick on, but it did not, unfortunately. So Jeb chose Prismarine, and it's kind of like a blue, corally, underwater-looking block that's going to make the oceans look a lot cooler than having just gravel in there, and clay and whatnot. So that's going to be awesome. And then he's also adding, now this is probably news to you guys, the sponge block. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
Because we posted it in Skype, probably. Yeah.
I heard about it. I didn't actually see it.
So right now, he's posted a couple GIFs, I think one GIF of what it does. And it's basically, a sponge. You stick it in the water, and it soaks up a 5x5. It looks like a 5x5 sphere of water around it. And basically takes all the water out of that area, turns the dry sponge into a wet sponge. Now, beyond that, we're not 100% sure what it's going to do. But you kind of have to have it a closed-off area, because if not, then the water source blocks are just going to recreate the water and whatnot. But I was thinking, it's pretty funny, because Beef has done his lily pad base. He's already finished with it. And he had to do so much sand over water type stuff to get the underwater stuff working. So if he would have used if he would have used his sponge blocks, it would have saved him so much time and effort. But instead, Mojang yet again foils Beef's life. And then, let's see, I think, so those are the 2 blocks, and then I guess I already said all the new mobs. Is that all the new things? I think that's all the really new things.
I think there's also a sea lantern.
Yeah, that's what it was.
What I was seeing on the wiki.
Now,
it's basically it's another block that gives light that I would guess is going to generate along with the Prismarine in the water dungeons.
Right, I would assume it would allow you to see a little bit better in the water around it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It could just be a regular lamp that has a different texture. But I'm not sure that's been confirmed yet. I haven't seen anything that says it's been confirmed, so I can't confirm that it's been confirmed.
Well, apparently there were screenshots.
Right, yeah, there's definitely screenshots where you can see a new looking block, but you never know. Anyway,
so that's interesting. It's kind of hilarious to me how much new stuff has come out. That's going to be in Minecraft on the 2 weeks that they're like, we're not going to release snapshots on these weeks.
Yeah,
I know. Well,
it's like, and the thing is,
it's kind of funny because it's all
snapshots. Don't tell us that you've got all this cool stuff coming.
Right, it's all Jeb generated basically. Because Dinnerbone does all these other snapshot things that are pretty cool, and then all of a sudden it's like Jeb's turn to introduce all these new things into the game. So it's kind of weird. You could see how they work a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the news we have coming out of Minecraft this week, which is pretty big. It's going to be crazy, I hope. And then some personal news, which can also be your news too, is the SnoCup is starting, which is also coinciding and based upon the World Cup starting. I think it's on the 12th. What day is that? Thursday. So 32 nations around the world are going to battle each other in a battle. I already said battle of national pride and whatnot. I can't remember what I said on my video. But yes, I made a video, and basically it's a competition just like the SnoMadness competition.
I'm very much looking forward to this because I'm already more like I'm more into soccer. I don't sit down and watch a lot of soccer, but I'm more into soccer than I have ever been basketball. So
yeah, I agree. I actually played soccer growing up, so
yeah. So there's more. I'm more invested in this on both fronts. One from having done the SnoMadness thing and having a lot of fun keeping track of that, and then now it's on a sport that I can get a little bit more into than I could the first time. So I'm very excited for this.
It's so dramatic. It's so exciting.
I had to laugh because I mentioned to my wife that you were doing this, and she had forgotten the fact that with these tournaments you just randomly assign a team to the entrant. She thought I was going to pick a team, and she goes, "Don't pick the U.S. We're going to suck this year." I was like, "No, I don't get to pick. I just have to cross my fingers and hope I don't get the U.S."
Hey, man, you got to have some national pride. That's what it's all about. The U.S. is in a bad position, though. That's for sure.
All right, what do you want, Slash?
I'm 1-5.
So I get 4 numbers?
Sure.
He's gonna lose anyway.
Okay, well it was a 4, so.
Oh, dang it.
Alright. So, this is really awesome. I don't know how much you guys care about this, but this is really awesome news for me. Rooster Teeth is making a full-length movie. It's an Indiegogo campaign, and basically they just said, well, the premise of the movie is it's called Laser Team, and it's basically it's a sci-fi comedy, and it's basically we know that aliens exist, and we're trying to figure out what to do about it, kind of. That's all they really released about the plot so far.
Alright.
But it's Rooster Teeth, so I know it'll be good. And so their goal was over 30 days, they wanted to raise $650,000. They reached their goal in 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. So was this a Kickstarter?
Indiegogo. So similar.
Okay, I'm not familiar, but I will take your word for it.
It's another website where you can fund projects. It's very much like
Gotcha.
Kickstarter.
Okay.
So yeah, they reached their goal in 10 hours. And
That's freaking crazy.
I know.
That's like $65,000 an hour?
Something like that. I mean, and some of the perks that you can get with it are crazy. Like, if you go down to, like, the really expensive perks that are, like if you donate $10,000, you get an executive producer credit and, like, all sorts of stuff like that. And 6 people apparently have done that.
That's stupid.
Wow.
$10,000? Like, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about $10,000. There's no way I would ever drop just 10 grand on a movie. I mean, maybe if I was a millionaire eventually.
There's there was, like, if you do $5,000, you get to be in an episode of Red vs. Blue.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And, like, a bunch of other stuff like that. I did donate, but a much smaller reward. Basically, I'm gonna get. I'm going
Cheapskate.
to. I'm basically gonna get a copy of the DVD when it comes out, and a couple of other things.
I thought you were gonna get like a floor mop boy credit or something. The guy that brought us donuts.
But so they
funny
added, because they reached their initial goal so fast, they added some stretch goals saying, like, okay, well, if we reach this amount, then we'll add this stuff in. And so they now reached, they reached $1 million in 52 hours, I think.
How many?
52.
Sorry, I had a seizure whenever you said $1 million. That's insane.
So, I'm looking at the page right now. They're at $1,097,054.
That is stupid.
And there's still 27 days left.
$1 million just because they want to go make a movie?
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. But I mean, they have a huge fan base, and they all want to see the first Rooster Teeth movie.
It's gonna happen whether you pay for it or not, guys. I hate to break it to you.
Well, they also probably want some of the cool rewards that come with it too. So, because I mean, they do have like some exclusive stuff that like merchandise and stuff that you can only get through this sponsoring thing. But still,
$1 million.
I know.
For one movie.
So
it's not even including the revenue they're gonna make off of the movie.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the $1 million all has to go into the movie?
Yes.
So I have a feeling they're going to spend it on some really dumb things eventually.
I mean, they basically said whatever extra money they get, that just means they can get better actors. They can, or like more, like higher grade actors. They can get.
Jesus, what are they going to get? Like Ben Affleck?
Better special effects. They're not paying him $1 million. It's $1 million for the whole movie.
I know, but I'm just saying, Ben Affleck probably does cheap movies nowadays. They have 7.5 million subscribers, so that's like everybody donating like 15 cents or something. That's still crazy.
So, yeah, I'm very excited about this, and I'm very excited to just follow the story as they work on this movie and everything.
Jeez, $1 million, guys. Hey, I got an idea. Do you want to start like a movie where maybe we know that aliens exist, and we just don't know what to do about it?
I think it's a great idea, but I think it'll only work if we have a huge fan base. So.
We'll just pool our subscribers. It'll be fine.
Everybody listening, if each of you just donates
$50,000. Okay, sorry. Well, if everybody donates 15 cents and we pool our, let's say, 500 subscribers together, that's a total of $75 for us to make a movie. And I bet...
I hope you realize some of those subscribers overlap.
The people that are subscribed to multiples of our channels have to donate more. That's the way that works.
That's the burden you have for subscribing.
Yeah.
Suddenly we're all at 0 subscribers.
Dang it.
Okay, well, the other thing I wanted to bring up is E3 is happening right now. And
Snore.
I haven't been following it too much, but I did before we started recording. I went and looked up a few of the game trailers that were released. And so far, it's mostly been the Microsoft stuff. So all of these games are for the Xbox One. They might be on other platforms as well, but all of the games that I'm gonna list are on the Xbox One. And some of these have been announced before. Some of them are just getting announced at E3, but these are all games that have E3 videos, whether it's gameplay or just a trailer, that I personally am looking forward to following and seeing where they go. So,
this time.
Yep. Star Wars Battlefront, which it's not called Battlefront 3, but it is basically, and that's actually being done by EA using the Battlefield engine or something. The original Star Wars Battlefront is my favorite video game of all time, so I'm curious to see where this goes. There was a trailer for a game that, as far as I know, it was announced at E3. I hadn't heard of it before anyway. It's called Scalebound, and I watched the trailer for it, and basically what I got from it is you are a person who fights alongside dragons, and your dragons fight bad dragons, and you also have a dragon-like abilities, even though you're a human.
I see.
So it's basically a giant dragon battle, and it's called Scalebound. So I like the fantasy dragon type stuff, so I'm once again curious to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is a sequel to the Tomb Raider game that just came out a year or two ago.
Is that like similar to the Tomb of Horrors?
No, it's similar to Lara Croft.
Lara Croft takes on the Tomb of Horrors.
Oh god, I can only imagine.
Assassin's Creed Unity, which I've known about for a little while.
There's too many. There's too many. Is this the 6th one? We don't have to count them because there's too many to count. That's the answer. There's too many, and I'm angry about it. I just want to go back and play number 2.
Technically, this would be if you count Liberation, which wasn't an arcade game. It wasn't like a full disc release.
Okay, so we don't count it then.
Oh, okay. Well, this would be the 7th. So it takes place during the French Revolution, and basically it is a 4-player co-op game. And so you play, I guess, you and your 3 friends if you have them.
Wow.
Each play as an assassin, and you work together to take down targets. And so, like, then if you get into one of those situations where you're spotted by a guard,
it's okay because you got friends.
Yeah, rather than getting caught, your friend can come up and kill him before they let anyone else know. So,
or if you don't have any friends, then tough luck.
Yep, this isn't the game for you.
Only the lonely go to jail.
Finally, Mirror's Edge 2, which is a game I love. Mirror's Edge, and if Mirror's Edge 2 is on the PC, I will definitely be playing it. If it's on the Xbox One, I'll probably be playing it in like 10 years.
When we're on Dem Guys episode 1113. I hope you're not Triskaidekaphobic. It's the fear of a million Triscuits. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
Okay, so that was my list of games. Like I said, so far, really only Xbox One games have been announced. They haven't really gotten to too much of the other stuff yet.
Okay, so I've got 2 short stories for random fun stuff. Number 1, okay, I know you guys can relate to me, but not very many other people can because I don't have very, very many friends in real life that understand, like, recording things and the little, I guess, random things that happen when you record. Random fun stuff that happens when you record, in fact. So,
Indeed.
one thing that you guys know this, of course, but I'm pretty anal retentive about is the amount of background noise that I have in my recordings. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can't do very much to combat it. But what I can do is I can turn off my air conditioner, turn off all the fans in my house, and turn off my refrigerator. Well, the latter poses a bit of a problem sometimes. Sometimes I can forget to turn the air conditioner back on and it gets a little hot or cold at some point. But this time I turned the refrigerator off and left the house for 2 days and came back and I had a gallon of ice cream that was now drinkable.
There was a gallon of milk.
And I'm going to be eating a lot of ground beef and chicken in the next 2 days. Because it's no longer able to stay frozen for a long time. And the way I found out, the funniest thing is the way I found out is that I poured myself a bowl of cereal this morning, had a great morning, woke up without the alarm happening. It was like one of the first times that's ever happened. So I woke up early, was ready to go and everything, poured myself some Lucky Charms, poured a bowl of milk and everything, take the bite, and it's like lukewarm milk with Lucky Charms. I didn't think it would be as bad as it was, but I was like, yeah, I need to go get some bacon. Okay, and then my next story is a story that happened to me today at work. So, I don't know how this happened, but I have a desk phone. I know how that happened. I got somebody inside it. So I've got this desk phone, right? And I make a lot of calls during the day, and somehow my desk phone had like a loose piece in it. And so me being an engineer, my first reaction is to try to take the whole thing apart. I take it apart and I can't figure out what the heck's going on, but it's like in the speaker of the phone, the ear speaker, it's in the handset to where whenever I kind of move at all, you can hear it wiggling, and it's really freaking annoying. So I sent in a ticket for the guys to come give me a new handset, which is probably, it's got to be like the easiest thing ever. Right. But the way this handset is made, it's kind of it's like longer, and it's the speakers on both ends are bigger, and then the middle part is pretty thin. But it's still a serviceable phone. So the guy comes up, he's like, "Oh, yep, looks like there's a problem." Gives me a new handset, holds it up to his ear one more time, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened to cause that." And he was like, "Me neither." And he takes the phone by both hands and snaps it over his knee in the middle of like an office place setting. And I was like, what? Like, what is the normal reaction in this scenario? He just took my desk phone and just snapped it over his knee and threw it in my trash can. So I was like, I've got it sitting right next to me right now because I took it home. But I was like, what do I do? Why did you do that?
Well, I mean, if he's in charge of like office supplies and stuff, maybe he saw it as like an act of mercy.
He's a vigilante, right?
Yeah, like
poor guy, he just needs to be put down.
Just needs to be put down, exactly.
But I was like, I mean, the funniest thing when you think about me telling the story, I think you guys probably envision like a big Hulk wrestler guy, but it was just kind of like a normal. I mean, he kind of looks like Michael actually from the Mindcrack server. It's just a guy like that, normal kind of guy that would be the phone tech at your company.
That's great.
And I'm just like, what in the world are you doing, sir? Anyway, I laughed for a while about that one later.
It had to be done.
And he just walks away.
Yeah.
There's smoke coming up from somewhere in the office. I don't know.
It's a circle of life, kid.
I'm gonna go cry about it later. Anyway, that's the end of my random fun stuff.
Now I have the song "Circle of Life" stuck in my head.
There you
moves
go.
us all.
That's pretty funny. Hey, I have no transition into me. I was just going to mention.
Speaking of desk phones that got snapped over someone's leg.
All right, well, I think we've reached that point where it is time to be answering questions. And do we have 3 this week?
Yes.
I think we have 3 this week.
What are we doing?
I don't know. It's crazy. It's like people are actually like listening and enjoying and wanting to participate.
No. You've gone too far.
Oh, probably. Okay. SnoShoe, take it away.
Yes, it's my second job on the podcast. Now that what the heck? This is like my first job got 3 times as hard. Now this job got 3 times as hard. Especially because these are long questions too. Okay, here we go. This one is from, I already screwed it up. This one is from Bailey, a friend of Drew and the rest of us, and on the AlfieCraft server, he says, I'm assuming it's that Bailey. Could be, my dog's name is Bailey,
it is
so
Bailey.
it could be my dog.
It could have been your dog submitted a question.
I don't know. I don't think she can type. I'm just wondering, how do you feel about hype around games just now? Just now? Like, at
this very moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's Irish, so his dialect is a little bit different than ours, but...
Right.
He's Scottish.
Scottish. Dang it.
Oh, uh-oh.
He's United Kingdom-ish.
We'll never get another question from him again.
I'm so sorry. He's a United King. They're all the same to me just because I'm an ignorant American. Forgive me. Personally, I feel like a lot of games are being overhyped just now, and when they do get finally released, they're a bit of a disappointment. I found recently that I enjoy a game more based on how little I know about it. The best example that I could think of for what I'm meaning is that I got Infamous after the PlayStation Network hack a few years ago, and I didn't touch it until April or May of last year. I enjoyed the first one, loved the second one, and when I heard there was a third one waiting to be released, I was excited for it. But once it was released, I didn't enjoy it. I feel like the hype was the main factor. From Bailey.
I have long been anti-hype. And it's like the amount of hype about a thing generally causes me to end up not looking into it until well after the hype has died down.
He's like the hype train that's like trailing the hype train, but
I'm like
pushing the wrong way.
On the hype train. Like that's when I start getting involved, is whenever I stop hearing people talking
Slow
about it.
this thing down.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it only applies to the, like, really, really big stuff. Like, I remember when the Titanic movie was coming out, and people were, like, just ranting and raving about how amazing the sets were and how accurate everything was, and the CG that they were using for some of the stuff, and, you know, this, that, and the other thing. What an amazing movie and whatever. And I have yet to actually watch that movie start to finish, just because I was so sick of hearing about it.
But James Cameron! Exclamation point.
Exactly. So I don't know. I'm sort of in the same boat. I tend
wow, that was terrible.
Terrible and unintentional. One of the best puns ever. But I tend not to follow a lot of the sort of like game release news and, you know, stuff like that as a result of not wanting to hear a lot of the hype, just because I do feel like that, you know, you get your hopes up for something and then you end up getting disappointed. So I'd rather just be surprised most of the time.
Right. Now, I think it's actually applicable to a series I talked about last podcast, the Space Engineers series that I guess we called them the Murder Squad or something.
Yeah, I think
know.
So.
Yeah.
Same people. They're doing the Space Engineers series, and in one of the episodes they talked about how they didn't want to spoil the stuff by looking at the viewer comments, which is interesting because Mindcrack is one of the biggest hype-generating groups I've ever seen.
Right.
With such random things. But it's a double-edged question he's got here, because he's saying the game he enjoys more based on how little he knows about it. So in a game sense, that's kind of why a lot of us really enjoyed Minecraft in the beginning, because we didn't know what the possibilities were. And now it's like we're complete experts on, if you ask me to craft anything in the game, I can probably do it. Given the wiki, maybe. But, you know, on Space Engineers, they're like, man, we just kind of want to figure it out ourselves. Hence the name engineering. But it's not fun whenever people tell you how to play a game, and I can understand that. Kind of the same way what he's talking about. He doesn't want to know as much about something whenever he goes into it.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot last week, especially we talked about that and also Watch Dogs. And I would say that in some cases, I do agree that things get overhyped, and sometimes it is the people who make the game are just trying to get people to play it before all the reviews come out and find out it's not that great of a game.
Right.
And same with movies. But at the same time, I think totally avoiding something, you might just assume, oh, well, it looks like it's going to be really big, so it's probably not actually that great. I
mean, in general, a lot of the best things were not hyped at all when they came out, and that's just because the quality kind of ends up shining through. And one of the big deals about it, like you look at Ubisoft, they're able to make these amazing trailers and these amazing storylines to get people intrigued, yet they don't really care as much about putting true quality into the game. And you can see that with Watch Dogs in certain areas. It's like, really? You couldn't like figure out how to make the guy's arm not look like complete crap in the chess game?
Right.
But I mean, if you look at like Minecraft, for example, just the passion that went into it is not there with some of the bigger companies. So in that respect, the bigger companies care more about hype than they do about the game, I think, which is why that kind of happens. Mm-hmm. But anyway, good question. Thank you, Bailey. Next question. This one is from The Torch, formerly known as Mr. Awesome Guy 246. It's not actually the name The Torch, it's just a symbol of the torch.
Right, yeah, I was thinking the same thing when I first got that question.
I'm just kidding. He changed his YouTube channel name to The Torch, so we will call him The Torch. Have you ever thought of doing a modded Minecraft server for the VBFS? Question mark. I thought at one point you had an FTB server, but will that ever reopen? Question mark.
Indeed.
Well,
Go ahead, Drew.
Okay, I was gonna say, that has been a pretty big subject, that has come up before among the VBFS people, and
Like 6 months ago, maybe.
no, it's come up more
Every
recently.
once in a while it pops back up.
Okay, I was talking about the FTB server specifically.
Oh, yeah.
But like when the new crack pack stuff came out, it came up again. Basically, as far as running a FTB or any other like big modded server, the same way we do a vanilla server, like using the same services and stuff, it's just too much lag, and we really can't afford to. I mean, Olmok runs like half this stuff.
Yeah, and the manpower it takes to run such a heavy load on a server like that is just crazy, which is why we shut down the FTB probably 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's probably not something that you'll see coming back, at least.
Not VBFS branded. There may be other people that run servers that members of the VBFS play on, but...
Right.
Yeah.
All right, next question. This is by the famous Million Monkeys. All 1 million of them are famous, and all 1 million of them donated $1 to the Rooster Teeth. I'm assuming that's the only way they could have gotten $1 million, I think. He says, hey guys, imagine this. You guys imagining?
Yes.
I'm imagining. My eyes are shut,
Imagination?
ready to go.
Everybody do the rainbow thing with their hands.
What?
You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Yeah, it's a SpongeBob thing. When he says imagination, you wave your hands above in a rainbow fashion, and it makes a rainbow.
You know what? I'm not ashamed to say I am not a fan of SpongeBob. So
I think you've said this on the podcast before, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just too bad for your life. He says, you three are trapped in a 10 by 10 foot titanium box with no apparent entrance or exit. In the middle is a pedestal with a large glowing red button and a sign that says, do not touch. How long would it be until one of you touched the button? And which of you would try it first?
I'm going to start off by being slightly pedantic.
Surprise.
And stating that since you have only specified 2 dimensions, I'm going to assume that it's really just a titanium square on the floor that I can walk out of at any time.
I think that may have been a transcription error. We'll just chalk it up to a transcription error.
Okay.
He meant to say 10 by 10 by 10 titanium box.
Yeah, I just, that's the sort of pedantic thing that I tend to go for when I'm reading something like this. How long would it be? Well, man, 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot, that's not a very big space.
I know that if I was in this situation, first of all, if it was just myself in there, I would probably be pretty quick to press it if I couldn't find any other way out. But if there were other people in there, I would think it'd be more likely that I would be the one trying to convince someone not to press it because I thought something bad would happen.
That I don't know what that says about you, but it probably says something very weird.
Delves quite deeply into your personality.
Like that's
Yeah.
honestly that's like my D&D style. When I'm in a group, I know other people are going to take crazy risks, and I try and be cautious and think logically. But when I'm by myself,
There's no room for logic.
yeah, I'm just like, this is the only way out. Like, what else am I supposed to do?
I feel like
So-
we've now obtained a complete psych profile on Drew.
I think we did.
Just from that answer.
Now, what I would do is just being my nature of wanting to destroy things and take them apart. I would definitely take apart the pedestal before I touch the button.
Oh,
Right?
try and yeah.
Because there's obviously some kind of power coming into it. It's a titanium box, so maybe you can figure out a way out. So I don't think I would touch the button until... I would probably let Drew touch the button, just in case it killed the person that touched the button.
I think it'd be like maybe half an hour tops before we either had the pedestal, like we were attempting to get the pedestal apart, or if it was
We're like trying to
impossible
chew through
take
the box.
the pedestal apart. I think the button would be pushed within the first half hour.
Yeah.
And,
It depends on what time it is and how hungry I am, but yes.
Yeah, and I suspect Snow and I would probably hit it more or less at the same time.
No, man, I'm backing away. This is all you.
Nope. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the way that it would work.
I can smell the Papa John's in my head. I might have to go for it.
Yeah, that's
But
an
yeah.
interesting question, though.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I'd be more concerned about how I ended up in such a situation, I think,
Yeah.
than in trying to get
just-
out right away.
Right, it doesn't say we wake up or anything. We're just trapped there, so...
Yeah.
We may have known what happened to get us there, and it just may we may just want to die in there, man. I don't know. All right, well, thank you, those million monkeys, those rich million monkeys. Some of them will probably get credits in the Rooster Teeth podcast.
As executive producer.
Yeah, as executive producers and Donut Boys alike.
All right, well, as always, thank you for listening, our listenership.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being aboard the listenership.
Yes.
You are now free to roam about the cabin.
Don't forget, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the new Dem Guys channel on YouTube and also follow on Twitter.
That is right. Next episode in 2 weeks will only be released on the new YouTube channel. So if you're following me on Twitter, I'll make sure to have reminders, and Sno and Drew, of course, will as well.
Yep.
But you will not find episode 14 on my channel, on the Matt aka Slash. You need
so
to go
everybody
to
needs to go and subscribe and watch Slash's videos to make him feel better for it.
Yes, that is correct. All right, hope you guys all have a good one. Later.
Bye.